I think we'll start. I would love to talk about the gaslighting because, I mean, it really ties into everything that
Okay.
MAGA is and
All right.
does.
All
And
right.
I also had kind of an interesting connection with my background with psychology that I wanted to add to it. We do have a TikTok video that
Mhm.
would be great to show now, and then we can kind of unpack it a little bit.
All right, she's got it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to show this TikTok video. She's going to get into why her education and background specifically deals with people gaslighting and how you can be aware of when it plays out in your life and from politicians. Take a look at this.
He didn't say that, and if he did, he didn't mean it, and if he did, it's not illegal, and if it is, everyone's doing it, and if they're not, she did something way worse.
Mm, Claire, the floor is yours. Talk to us.
All right. So much in so few words. I mean, that clip is mega viral right now, for good reason, but this has been like one of the main talking points or I don't know, processes of explaining things for MAGA since the first president's for his first term. But either way, it's so exhausting to watch people use tactics that are textbook narcissistic manipulation on a large scale and people not even recognizing it. I recognize that I do have a background in this. So I do have a degree in psychology, and I'm currently working on my master's in clinical mental health counseling. So I have done a lot of studying on this type of stuff, but it really is textbook gaslighting. And there's also something called Darvo that I
Mm,
think is really interesting that I'd like to tie into this.
What's that?
So DARVO stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. So it's like
Mm,
a go-to acronym for people to use if they think they might be getting like emotionally manipulated by someone. And I'm going to phrase it in the terms of like the abuser because this is typically in a situation where it's like narcissistic abuse, emotional abuse. But again, like we're seeing, it doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship between someone for people to use these tactics. You can use it on any stage. You can be a politician using it, it's just speaking to the public.
at
So
work, possibly like a boss or something like
yeah,
that,
a
or
boss could anyone you know can do this to you. Friends, hey, you can have narcissistic friends. It's definitely not isolated to just relationships, close relationships, intimate relationships. It's narcissists. They don't discriminate. They use this
Mhm.
everywhere. But I'm gonna the verbiage I have is more like the abuser, the victim.
Right.
So deny, the D in Darvo, is the abuser denies the abuse, often minimizing or trivializing it or claiming it never happened. They may also use gaslighting to make the victim question their memory or sanity. This is the he didn't say that part of that video. So you see anyone in MAGA and you see Trump do this all the time, just lying. Just there's video footage of him saying or doing something, and then he gets questioned about it. And again, there's video footage of it, and he goes, I didn't say that, but you did. What do you mean? You can't just and it's documented. And in this big old year we're in, 2025,
Mhm.
you can't dodge it. You can't dodge responsibility when we literally have evidence of you doing it, but they just do it all the time. So there's the deny part. And then next, typically, the abuser shifts the focus to the victim's character, accusing them of lying, being overly sensitive. That's a big one for MAGA. Having ulterior motives, or even asserting that the victim was the abusive one in the first place. So deny, then attack. And that is, and if he did, he didn't mean it. So basically, they are manipulating your perspective, your worldview, so that your truth and your reality, no matter how real it feels to you, it's not real.
Mhm.
Um, I had a personal relationship that was pretty emotionally abusive, and long time ago, we've definitely healed from it. But he loved to use the word delusional. And I think it is such a perfect representation of this, the attack and the deny. Because if whoever you're talking to is quote unquote delusional, they can't say anything that has merit. You have taken away their voice, essentially, when it comes to your dynamics in an argument or a debate or conversation. And I
Right.
see MAGA do this all the time. Snowflakes, sensitive, soft, grow up. However they want to attack your truth, your reality, F your feelings. Like, okay, that doesn't mean that what I'm saying doesn't matter just because you don't
Mm-hmm.
care. And then the last part is reverse victim and offender. So the abuser portrays themselves as the victim, claiming they are being unfairly accused or mistreated. They may even suggest that the victim has a vendetta against them or is trying to ruin their reputation. Fake news.
Mm-hmm.
She did something way worse. If it's illegal, everyone's doing it. So all of a sudden, you were coming at me and trying to hold me accountable. And this is also gaslighting. And now I'm going to talk about either your reaction to what I've done or a completely different topic that somehow removes blame from me or from the party or the person with which I identify or support. So
And
anyway,
that can be a little bit of like whataboutism.
whataboutism, it all fits into this world, this realm of not facts,
Mm-hmm.
where if you are not dealing with facts and that is not your focus or your main concern, this is your playbook. This is your playbook
Mm-hmm.
because this is how you convince people that something's happening that factually is not, or it may be happening, but we don't have proof of it.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of cult leaders, this is their textbook. Um, it can,
Pastors.
yep, yep. It can go. I mean, any power dynamic where someone is trying to assert power over someone, and they recognize that the victim or the powerless person in this situation has a grievance, has something that they've identified that's wrong, that the person in power has done. They're most of the time not going to admit to what they've done. They're going to use
Mm-hmm.
any of these tactics to deflect, change the subject, put it back on you. And it's just so crazy to watch it happen on a large scale like this because when it's one-on-one, it feels controllable. It
Right.
feels
Right.
like, okay, yes, I have, my partner is emotionally awful and toxic and manipulative, but at least when I go to work, I don't have to deal with it, right?
Right.
Or
Right.
at least when I'm with my girlfriends, I'm away from him.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're seeing it in the White House, in Congress, in the Senate, in all of these places where the truth and the law should be paramount and should, you know, um, be more valued than talking points and just denying and it's like when we talk about immigration and we get on that issue and it was like in the debates when Trump's like they're eating cats and dogs. What does that have to do with the actual issue we're talking about? It's just reversing victim and offender. It's like we're talking about, oh, these are immigrants that need our help. They're cannibals. They're crazy. They're it's just this crazy fear mongering that again is doing the same thing that we're seeing in that video, that TikTok I just showed. It's denying, it's diverting attention away from the issues that matter. They want to talk about trans people. They want to talk about these niche situations that I mean, in the large scale are not as big of an issue. Hey, these are issues that are very important, but that they'll focus in on like cats and dogs being eaten, and it's like, I'm sorry, we have way bigger fish to fry here, and you're
Mm-hmm.
just deflecting so that we don't ever have time to get to the meat of this issue. Um, so yeah, obviously I'm very, very passionate about this. But I'm so over watching people do what is to me just textbook bullshit manipulation and and their followers going,
So, well said, Claire. And that's going to bring me to 3 points. And I'm going to be very honest with my audience. I've learned a lot of things from my grandmother. And one thing my grandmother taught me was sometimes the things you hate the most, if you're not careful, you will become those things. And ladies and gentlemen, I am guilty of gaslighting one time in my life to circle of people I have in my life that I care for, adore, and love. And I'm going to bring two extra points into this. One thing is masculinity, and the other thing is the individuals who buy into this gaslighting, where it comes from. So, number one, there's this big talk about masculinity in America, what it takes to be masculine. One trait that I feel like you must have to be masculine is when you realize you've done something wrong, apologize, admit that you've done wrong, and do the work to rectify it so that it doesn't happen again. And that's what happened with me. I had to realize I was doing wrong, and I became I hate people that don't believe in truth. I hate people that deflect, and I actually became that. And I had to admit to individual that I was wrong. I'm getting work done to help me overcome this, and it won't happen again. To me, that's a foundation of masculinity, and we don't have a lot of masculine men in power right now that are willing to do that. Number two, individuals sit around and from society, whether it's TV, whether it's social media, or usually your politicians, they soak this shit up from white men who, I'm not saying they're the only ones who do it, but perniciously, the only people you see in mass numbers doing it is white guys. And the only people you seem to see get away with it most of the time are white guys. And the people that they're doing this to are letting them get away with it, which is why we're having this conversation so that you can see when it's coming, so that you know to protect yourself from it. And in my experience, what I have learned, when someone does you wrong, lies to you, or hurts you, the closer you get to the truth, the more they'll start gaslighting. I mean, they'll turn that bitch up like a gas stove. Swoosh. The gaslighting gets high as hell because you're getting closer to the truth. And sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a gut feeling, don't doubt yourself, search for the truth, and then make a determination about what that person is saying, which we don't see enough from the people that are easily gaslighted by the Republican Party and others. Last point I want to talk about, when you encounter gaslighting from the political spectrum, it makes it seem like that behavior is okay. And I'm not saying I'm not going to say that all the people that do the gaslighting are men, but it certainly seems like the majority of people that are doing gaslighting are men. And sometimes they try to cover up this gaslighting under a cloak of something you're not supposed to argue against. And usually that is the Bible and Christian religion. And having said that, you guys let us know what you think. Good subject, Claire. Very, very good subject. I mean, I think, ladies and gentlemen, Claire might have a big career on social media getting people to come in and talk. One of these days, we'll see.